Hello, I am Mark at the Nevada Northern Railway National Historic Landmark in Ely, Nevada. And what we're going to talk about today is coal. This is the tender for locomotive 93, and it can carry 12 tons of coal. So how did they get the coal into the tender? They used the coaling tower. So we're going to walk down and take a peek at the coaling tower. One of the signature pieces at the Nevada Northern Railway National Historic Landmark is the coaling tower. Directly behind me, that big tall concrete building is the coaling tower, and we're going to head over that way and explore it. The coaling tower is essentially a giant elevator. The big wide piece directly in front of us is the coal bins. The narrower tower that goes all the way up is an elevator. The coal was dropped over there, the elevator picked it up, took it all the way up, and that one little piece of concrete there, that angle, that's where it dumped the coal into the coal hopper. So the building is built out of concrete, and they didn't form it all the way to the top. They would form it, pour concrete, jack the forms up, pour more concrete, and you can see the different levels there of where they poured the concrete. The coaling tower went into operation in 1917, and it is one of the buildings, it's a contributing building to our National Historic Landmark status. And here's a picture of locomotive 81 being filled with stoker coal before she made her trip up the hill. And the other thing is, too, the different railroad workers put their names on the inside of the building. And then this is looking down the shaft. All right, let's go take a look at the elevator system. So this is the control room, and you can see the cable there going up through the ceiling. That cable would pull the elevator up and bring it back down again. We had a little steam pump over there for pumping water, and we still have the original electric motor right here. And so our goal is to actually put this back into operation. And the reason for that is right now we take our coal and just dump it on the ground. We're in the high desert. We have lots of sun. And that coal on the ground, the volatiles in the coal boil off. And so we lose BTUs by leaving that laying out in the sun. So putting the coaling tower back into operation will accomplish two things. Number one, it's just flipping cool. And number two, it will save the BTUs on the coal that we actually do burn. Joys of old doors and locks. And the railroad also had its own water system. And this is one of the old hydrants. All right, you can see that track right there. They would roll the coal cars up, and they would dump the coal through these rails, and then on the bottom here is a screw that would bring the coal into the elevator, and then it would go up the tower there. At the end of the railroad, what they did is they had this massive structure. Both steam locomotives and diesel locomotives need sand for tractive effort. And so what they would do is they turned this into a sand tower. And so they filled the coal hopper up with sand. And so to put her back into operation, we're going to have to get all of the sand out of here. Yeah, but it was quite the operation during the day. This room is the sand drying room, and in there is a big furnace, and what they would do is dry out the sand. They needed the sand to be dry because when the engineer hit his sanders, he needed the sand to come out and drop right on top of the rail. If the sand did not flow freely, then the engineer was stuck. And what I'm talking about here, the driver of a steam locomotive touches the rail only by about that much. So in the case of locomotive 93, she has 8 driving wheels. So if I were to take 8 quarters and put them on the rail here, that's all the interface that is between the locomotive and the wheels. So if you can imagine 8 of them, and if there's any water, leaves, grass, she'll start slipping. And so what the sand did was provide traction. And in a steam locomotive, when she slips, you can really hear it. She'll be going down the track, chuff, chuff, chuff. She hits a slippery spot, chuff, 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 chuff. All the wheels are spinning, the rods are spinning, the locomotive has lost traction, and not only that, you've got tons of metal just almost in free fall. So the engineer would close the throttle and dump sand and get the wheels to have traction once again. So a steam locomotive needs 2 things. It needs coal and it needs water. And that is the water tank right there. That water tank supplied water to different water columns scattered throughout the yard, so the engine crew could get coal and water at the same time. And that little building in the front there was the pump house to pump the water up. So we are going to go into the coaling tower. This is one of the original ore cars from 1909. Unfortunately, all of the windows in the coaling tower have been broken out, and the resident pigeons love it. So what we're going to have to do is mask up. And here we are at the top of the coaling tower. You can look down there, and that is the elevator that brings the coal up from the bottom, brings it all the way up here, and then it's dumped into the coal hopper. The last time this was used, probably as a coaling tower, mid to late 1950s. So we're talking about 75 years. And it's going to be quite the trip to get this into operation. But that is one of our goals. And if you look across here, they were really big on guardrails. So that ladder there goes to a hatch on the roof. And that's how you get on the roof. And on the roof of this building is an American flag. Well, thank you for joining us on this little exploration of our cooling tower. As I mentioned, our goal is to put this back into operation. And how do we do that? We depend on our members, our donors, to assist us in these projects, and your purchases at the gift shop also help provide funding to get this done. The other thing I need you to do for me is to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. We really want to know what you think about this project.